Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Pess. I am here to show you some of the coolest Sharens. It took me forever to put this. I've just been moving into my new place, finally getting settled. I know you don't care, but hell yeah, I'm stoked. So with these builds, we have Area Suppression, just slapping the Swamp Walker. I did a short minute video of that one. It's a no-brainer build, so a lot of people have been playing with that. It is pretty quick. My personal favorite is Ambushed. It just has so much more utility. You can still slap all bosses with it, just in a little bit longer of a time. I can get the Swamp Walker in about 30 seconds when playing solo, but I prefer to play in teams of 4. I just do these solo so you can see these showcases. We have the Sharen Glade type build that focuses on the Executor, which is really great. I love it. I've been using that shotgun since before the buff to the heavy weapons and already saw the value. It just destroys the bosses in Void Vessels when you're doing a 4-man run. It's really good for bosses as a secondary. So what I want to show you in this video is how to bring all of these different elements of what Sharen is into this one just winning build that has more versatility than spamming her 4th skill or just, you know, spamming one skill at a time. Not very fun to just sit there and keep clicking Q or R or whatever the hell you have your buttons set up to. So without further ado, let's dive into these builds and I hope you enjoy. Let's get after it. So the first build that we have today, it's the Ambush build. I originally focused on making it a cooldown build. So this build was my go-to. Area Suppression was cool, but at first I didn't find too much value and I saw everybody else playing with it. So to get this one going, first step, we need Ambushed in here. It only takes 3 module capacity when it's fully upped. You don't need this Cerulean mod slot catalyst. I just did it because I like Battlesuit Melting Grounds. Area Suppression uses it, Overcharged Edge uses it, and so does Ambushed. So I figured, what the hell, I may as well catalyze it. This is how the catalysts look in the end for all of these builds that I use. You won't need more. In fact, I don't even use some of them. So you're good. This is a good snapshot of where to begin. Naturally, the first thing we got, Cerulean, we need HP. I mean, I guess we don't need it with Sharen, but it is always good to have it. You can use, you know, increased HP. You can use pretty much any of these, HP amplification. They're all fine options. You know, Battle of Stamina, it has less HP, you get some duration, which isn't really needed. I like to keep the MP, so let's avoid Stim Accelerant on Sharen entirely. You can burn through MP with her pretty quickly unless you use the Supernova set, which is viable, but you may as well stick to the Slayer set, and we'll get into what that set looks like later. So boom, we've got our HP, some survivability. Like I said, I built this for cooldown first, so we got Nimble Fingers and then MP Conversion. This is why we want to stay away from Stim Accelerant. So let's get that on here. MP Accelerant, oh, not Accelerant, Conversion. MP Conversion. Been playing too much with these mods. I like to switch them around like that because I don't know why, deal with it. To further the cooldown option that I'm looking at here, and we'll get to why this is so important to focus on it later. We have focus on electric, which we can, you know, either spot. I don't know why I just switched it, deal with it again. And then focus on fusion. What we're looking at, focus on fusion. Do you know what? Let's just find it. Boom. These are going to add another 12.2% cooldown. So already we're bringing this down from 7 seconds to 2.7. And this is really great because when you use her ambush, it actually reduces the cooldown for your skills. So when we do go invisible, what this is going to do is bring this cooldown down to 0.7 seconds. So now we can spam our cutoff beam and we can stay cloaked almost perpetually with ambushed. Ideally, we're cloaked the entire time, but we can't guarantee that. But this is the goal of this build. So now to make this really hurt, it's really simple. We need these Almandine catalyst spots here. And what we're gonna do is focus on our crit. So we can just go crit, boom, let's go boom, 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 boom. Oh, look at that. We're critting now, boys. So now we have emergency measures and front lines, skill concentration, and skill insight. This is going to give us an immense amount of skill critical hit rate and skill critical hit damage. We don't need that much defense or that much survivability because we're staying cloaked this entire time. We'll look at what this does in a minute, but one of the problems that I found is Cutoff Beam has this incredibly fast skill animation in comparison to the frangible rounds, these shocky nuts. So I wanted some range. I tried using regular range, which you can, but I like maximize range. We're getting almost 100%. So this is going to take this skill from 4.4 meters by 6 meters and your nuts over here from 3.5 meters to 8.6 by 11.7 and 6.8. I want to point this out because a lot of people just kind of default to this because it's a ranged attack. It seems like it has more range, but it really doesn't. The reason this is so fantastic using the cutoff beam with this build is because you get increased mobility when you're in your ambush. You get movement and speed increased by 30%. So you're moving 30% faster. Your skills are on a 30% cooldown. So you have 0.7 seconds that you can just destroy everything within, 8.6 by 11.7 meters, which is a pretty good range for your skill. Even more so when you're moving that quickly. You can pair this up with the brisk walk mod on a special weapon if you'd like, but we'll get to the weapons here in just a moment. So first, let's look at our stats. The main things we're looking at are the skill critical hit rate and the skill critical hit damage. We have 61.54% skill critical hit rate and 4.3 times critical hit damage. So what weapon we gotta use is Blue Beetle. It recently got this buff where now you have 100% trigger rate to get 115% skill critical hit rate. I don't know if you've seen any of my previous videos, but I was losing it over a 30% chance to get 30% critical hit rate. I don't remember, but this is what it is now and it's incredible. So what that means for Sharen, we cloak, we do any fusion skill, and that's going to put us at, it's not even gonna show us what's going on here. Oh, there we go. That will move us all the way up to 84.54% skill critical hit rate. That's almost 100% of the time. You can add a reactor that has the 32% crit rate for your skills to further increase this, but I'm sitting pretty at 84%. So that brings us to the first weapon that you should be using is Blue Beetle. This is the build that I have for it. You don't have to. I just noticed that I get an immense amount of damage when I get these ultra precision strikes. It is kind of hard. I've been considering increasing the accuracy, but I do hit 500,000 with the Blue Beetle on hard difficulty. And if I can keep that going, then we hit a lot harder. So let's take a look at what that looks like against a level 100 enemy. I choose Order of Truth because they got those big chunky boys that I can't miss. We go boom, one shot, that's 1.1 million. But out in the field, we're actually sitting at about 500,000. So this is the build that I've settled on for Blue Beetle. Typically, we won't be using it that much, but when we do, there's an enemy that's really far away and I want to be able to just knock them out and move on with my mission or operation, infiltration, whatever you want to call it. This is the build that I've used for the Blue Beetle. The second weapon that you are going to want to use is a shotgun. Right now, there is a debate between Smithereens and Executor. I'm still kind of building out my Smithereens, so I just shared over the same build, essentially. I'm going to try full-on electric priority for it. And there's a difference between that and Executor. So I use this for bossing and this when I'm just out in the field because I can use it constantly. I'm constantly applying electrocution And yeah, it's only 5 seconds with a cooldown of 20 seconds, but with the ammo economy that's out there, this is more than fine. I can dump my mag in that 5-second period, and people think it's not as good as Smithereens because Smithereens has a 100% fixed crit hit rate when you land all the pellets, and Executor will get there at 3 stacks. And so the argument is that Smithereens is guaranteed when you're using it on Sharen, right? So we can cloak, get the double damage from the ambush. As you can see, I know it's not all the way built out, so you know, take what you will from this, but I always go back into my cloak if I'm hitting my shots, as I don't holy. But then even after those 3, you can just kind of keep it rolling, and I hit a lot more with my Executor right now, and it's doing the job. I showed a solo Molten Fortress and Gluttony that's done with this build on that. So now that we've gone over the weapons and the mods and why we're doing that, not yet do I want to get into the reactors, but the Inversion Reinforcement. Right now I have chill focus because you will need, for Gluttony, fire focus rounds and a fire mod, as well as chill focus rounds for the Molten Fortress, as well as a fire mod. But right now in my Executor, I have the electric enhancement because that is kind of where I go, and chill enhancement. I typically land on the electric, so the Inversion Reinforcement, I choose this because I like the max MP, so I can keep spamming my skills as much as I want on the Slayer set. I use the heightened sensory cells so I continually regenerate that MP, and then I use Arcade Boost so I get more skill cooldown, which isn't needed, but I get more range from this. It's not necessarily needed for the skill cooldown on Sharen, so the truth is, if you're landing your shots and you're moving in a dungeon, you can remove Nimble Fingers. It is going to have its effect when you are just, fighting either bosses or initially getting it started. You cannot miss the kill or the 30% crit to refresh your ambush, otherwise you're going to be waiting a very long time for this. But with the inversion buff, the inversion heart buff, with the inversion buff, you are just in a good spot either way. So if I take off Nimble Fingers, I have a reactor for it, but I decided against it. I got a lot of these. I need to clear out my space. I used to use a skill cooldown and electric skill power boost when I take off Nimble Fingers, but there aren't any mods aside from Spear and Shield that really make sense or make this build better. So I decided, skill cost and additional skill attack when attacking Colossus. This allows me to spam my Area Suppression and deal more damage to them, but otherwise I'm just using skill critical hit damage and fusion skill power boost. The reason I sit here is because I feel fine at 84% skill crit rate. I need to still add a shotgun weapon group mount to this, but otherwise I'm sitting pretty and feeling good. That's what I do for my Inversion Reinforcement buffs as well as my reactors. Of course, you want a Tingling Mixture reactor, since most of your skills with Sharen are fusion. All of your damage is fusion. Even on the Area Suppression, you are using fusion, infusion, and then dimension for your support skills. For the sets, Slayer set all the way. We burn through our MP because the skill cost is up 15%, but that really won't matter too much for how you're using it. It only matters when bombing Colossuses that you would use Area Suppression on. For the substats, max HP because, you need some survivability, otherwise you have none. Then MP recovery out of combat, so I am guaranteed to have that MP. I had to actually switch out this sensor to make sure that I had max MP. It's the only stat that's going to matter on the sensor for Sharen, and primarily again while you are only using the Area Suppression build, which we'll get into that in just a moment. Slayer memory, I have defense. It was the most important thing to me. I don't care what you do with your second stat. I have electric resistance for some reason because Sharen is electric, may as well be resistant to the thing she is. And then the processor max shield is what I looked at. Ideally, I would also have max shield or shield recovery out of combat or whatever the hell this one is. What is it? Shield recovery modifier is what I would want that to be instead of equipment drop rate increase. But either way, the most important thing is the max shield, defense, max MP, and then max HP for this set. So that is the ambush build. Top to bottom, you're going to be cruising any kind of content. I recommend building this one first because you can still take out bosses. You can solo Molten Fortress, Gluttony, all of that fun stuff with just a few tweaks. So before we get into Area Suppression, because I know everybody has that since Moxie has the exact same build as me on this, you can take a quick peek. This is what it is. Pretty straightforward, tons of crit, dangerous ambush, and cooldown. Now all we're doing is throwing on Area Suppression. Very similar, just putting on dangerous ambush instead of range, and Area Suppression over ambush. Now this next one though is pretty fucking awesome. It is the, I call it Schley because it's Sharen and Glay. Let's get into that. All right, and this final build is pretty fun. You can one phase Gluttony and Molten Fortress, which is really nice. So let's just get started. This is more of a gun build. So this is something that most people were doing with the first version of Sharen. So we will use shot focus since her ambush is doubling it. And what we can do now is use the ambushed mod here to reproc our ambush. So we're taking the same concepts that exist from like my prior Sharen video that I did. Everybody focused on it. It's pretty huge. You could do like 40 million damage apparently with a single shot. So how do we keep that going? With the change that was made to the shotguns, we see a lot of utility and use with this. So what I do, we need a little bit of health. I mean, I guess we don't really need to with the way that this is working. I just do it in case I want to use it anywhere else. But we use Walk a Tightrope. When your HP is 50% or lower, your skill power and your firearm attack are up 30%. So we're doing this to stack on the shotgun bonus that we have. So then we use conditional recharge to lower our health down to nothing before the fight starts. That's what you see me doing in this. I'll just put up a clip of the Gluttony here, the Gluttony fight. So we do that. We need MP conversion. We don't need it. I just keep it on, nimble fingers. This is just basically how I made the adjustments. The most important part here is the Walk a Tightrope, conditional recharge, and the shot focus. So we don't need any of these other ones. I'm just using them for cooldown so I can reproc my stealth in the event that I do need it. So we use the focus on fusion and focus on electric to get that skill cooldown modifier. We use Walk a Tightrope to get more firearm attack. Same with shot focus. And then conditional recharge to bring our health down. These are part of the cooldown. So it's not really needed, but the way that I've been running this is just Battle of Stamina to increase my skill duration and get some HP, why not? And we can add duration to help with the stealth if we proc it too early or something like that, but it doesn't really matter. What we do for this. I honestly usually just leave these two blank so you have a lot of mod space to work with, and that's what we've been doing. So to go against Gluttony, what we need is just this fire enhancement on this executor build. This is like the go-to for everyone. Real life fighter, targeted vulnerability, you're just increasing your weak point damage, and these bosses have really big weak points. So it's really easy to hit. Part of what makes this work is the Inversion Reinforcement attribute buffs for fire focus rounds when you're going against Gluttony, and then chill focus rounds when you're going against the Molten Fortress. And all we have to do is change this in the executor to chill, but as you can see, I catalyst for every element so far, so we just switch that out to chill. We don't need it. As you can see, I have 73 out of 80 that's being used, but I am farming out my patterns now, so I'm going to leave it on this version of the executor. It's really cool, it's really awesome, it's really quick and easy, but that is how that works. I still keep on, the same reactor. It doesn't matter too much, but what you can do to improve this build entirely, I still have my Slayer set on. You can add the veteran set, as it will add, look at how stuffed my storage is here. But we add the veteran set because it'll increase your firearm critical hit rate, which is helpful with the executor in the first shot, but you're getting additional firearm attack and weak point damage, which is pretty important with this. So let's just pull these out, and then I'll run it with this so you can see that I'm not just completely foolish, So we'll go veteran, 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 and what are we missing? I don't even have that favorited, hot damn. So then let's go in, let's hop in, let's do a Gluttony, since that's what I'm talking about. Cut out the load times. All right. So what we do when the fight starts, just use your 1. I think it allows you to get your HP a little bit lower than if you're spamming any of your other skills. You get it just a tick lower. Then when he comes out, you just pick a knee. Oh, did I really miss? I didn't miss. Thank the heavens. We reload as he goes down, hit your stealth to get back into the fight a little quicker. And it's just like that. It's just that easy. You don't need any skill, just the basic build here. So again, this is the executor. This is the most important part to it. Having the matching element and the inversion buff here, getting that 5% firearm attack, but you can stack it 5 times. And then the Descendant modules, just that. So it's really simple. You don't even need this guy while we're at it. Let's try it one more time. You could run it this way. I don't need to try it again. You don't need the HP or the duration, but I figure why not? You can use any HP if you want, but either way, you're going to be burning it down as low as possible. So yeah, if you guys found any of this information helpful, definitely like and subscribe. I'm around. I love this game. I love making builds with it. And until then, you guys have a awesome Christmas. See you next year.